She says she'll be a tough-on-crime fiscal steward for the city of Chicago. Can the message move voters in what's expected to be another crowded race for mayor? We've got 8 months to go before Election Day. Tonight, Susana Mendoza gets to the point.
From Chicago's very own, with WGN political editor Tahman Bradley, this is The Point.
Good evening. Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza says she's been thinking about her next move for a long time, opting not to run for another term statewide. Today, Mendoza kicked off her second bid for Chicago mayor. The former state representative and city clerk calls what's happening at City Hall right now a blizzard of incompetence. And Susana Mendoza, welcome back to The Point.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you again. We had you here our first week, which was great.
We did, and now we're here for the big reveal. So very excited to be here tonight.
The big announcement. I want to talk a little bit of process before we get to the issues, because you ran in 2019, didn't do well. How will you do better this time?
So everything's different this time. I mean, 2019, I had a 2-month window. Nothing felt right from the get-go in that race, but what is true is that the whole world has changed dramatically since that race. I learned a lot of lessons. I think every good champion gets punched in the face every now and then, and it's how you get up and recover from that that shows your character. What I didn't do was pick up my toys and leave politics for 10 years. And,
Who did that? Are we talking about Alexis?
But I'll tell you what I did do, though, was set the goal to be the highest vote getter in the state of Illinois in my very next election cycle, and I did that. So that's how champions, come back from a defeat. But you know what else changed? The world. We have now had a global pandemic. We've had a state that's had to recover from fiscal dysfunction and crisis. Because of that loss, I had the opportunity to finish leading the state of Illinois through not just one, but the 2 worst fiscal crises in our state's history, helped deliver 10 credit upgrades to our state. I mean, I tripled down on being the best controller that this state's had. And I think the voters rewarded me with that by making me the top vote getter in that next election cycle. So right now, I have to figure out where can I have the biggest impact. And over the last year, I've been going on a listening tour, talking to Chicagoans in every neighborhood, hearing from them what's keeping them up at night. And I've come to the conclusion, after being called to this task by them, that it's time to step up, to be bold and brave, and to do what I can to put my experience to work in getting our city back.
I'm not doing my job if I don't try again and hit you with the word Alexi, but I'm going to use 2 other words first. Brandon Johnson, because he reacted to you entering the race earlier today. Take a listen.
Well, here's the good thing about Chicago. There's a mayor race every 4 years. So there's no breaking news there. Every 4 years, individuals will come before the people of this city and make their case. Here's what my focus is on, is building the safest, most affordable big city in America.
What's your assessment? Now, he hasn't made up his mind whether or not he's running for re-election, but what's your assessment of his strength?
I would say, if I had to say what's the best thing he's done?
No. Do you think he'll be formidable should he choose to run a re-election, or do you think that he's just not going to make it to the runoff, the low polling numbers?
Sure. I think that if people thought that the city was moving in the right direction, everyone would be lining up behind Mayor Johnson to run for re-election. People wouldn't want to feel the need to have to step in to try to save our city. But clearly that is not the case. I mean, our credit downgrades after downgrades are evidence that the city is moving in the absolute wrong direction. The fact that the city is losing businesses to other competing states and cities is a crisis that's happening in our state right now, not just for the city, but for the entire state of Illinois. We need to have a mayor who is pro-growth, pro-expanding our tax base, not someone who's addicted to spending, which is the current administration. And I certainly bring a level of expertise, but also based on being in the neighborhoods, deep in the neighborhoods, talking to people and hearing from them, no matter what neighborhood, there's 77, soon to be 78, that they are ready for a change, but most importantly, competence and proven results experience coming into that mayor's office.
What's your path to victory? Is it Latino voters, maybe a little bit of conservative voters? How do you make the math work?
It's the most voters. 2 + 2 is always 4.
Yeah, but you're going after specific, or you have to coalition build.
I am going to
Where
be
do you
a mayor.
start and how do you build?
I'm going to be a mayor for all 2 million plus people in this city and give them a choice of getting behind the most competent, the most proven track record and experienced deliverable mayor. That's been me. And so I don't care where your politics lie. I care that you're a Chicagoan. If you live in this city, give me a chance. to show you what I can do to get our city back. No one's going to agree with 100% of who I am or my policies. I don't agree with 100% of my best friend's thoughts, right? But what I do know is that we have to find where we can come together. And there's three major crises, no matter what party you're in, ring true. Public safety. We have to do something to hold people who are hurting and killing people accountable. We have to have confidence that this city will get back in the right direction. Everyone feels that that is a fail right now, big time. And of course, you know, like, what are we going to do to grow the city, to make sure that people aren't being squeezed out of living here because it's become so unaffordable? So a financial crisis that is crushing people with property taxes because people are choosing to leave Chicago instead of choosing Chicago to gladly pay for taxes that, by the way, they actually know what they're going to. I'm the one who can bring that type of experience and get it done because I already have.
You use a lot of tough on crime language. After Sheridan Gorman was murdered, you posted on X that the suspect should be prosecuted and deported to El Salvador. You also called for the two men who kidnapped a DePaul student to be deported and jailed in Venezuela. Many people may agree with that, but a number of people in the Latino community are worried about how the Trump administration has carried out its immigration enforcement. Why use language like that, talking about deporting people to various countries and jailing them there?
Well, I'll tell you that most every single immigrant I've ever spoken to, and I lived in a community and represented a community that is impacted by this kind of stuff and violence, right? Everyone of reasonable mentality does not want a sex offender or a violent criminal coming back into their neighborhood. At the same time, I've been very vocal and have always fought for the hardworking immigrants who make Chicago the great city that it is. So you can be against abusive tactics from immigration towards our people, but also be against violent criminals and not want to protect them. I think this is an issue of balance, fairness, and at the end of the day, common sense. I am never going to protect a criminal, whether they were born here or not. So there should be no controversy in saying that the person, the murderer of Sheridan Gorman, should be in jail. And by the way, he just got, arrested again for having a shank in jail. So these are terrible people who are of no value to our state. But you know who was of value? Sheridan Gorman. So I'm much more worried about comforting her parents and preventing other victims than worried about the comfort of that individual. I
just wonder in this moment if this is the issue that's at the forefront on Chicago voters' mind. There was a Suffolk Tribune poll in late April. It showed 86% of respondents said that they feel generally safe in their neighborhood. 30% of Chicagoans feel safe in the city, saying that it's an excellent place to live. 35% said it's a good place. 26% fair. Poor was only 8%. So why this take? It sounds like people feel good about Chicago.
Well, here's the thing. I love Chicago with all my heart. It is the greatest city in America. And I believe the greatest city in the world. I've traveled all over the world. But what is true is that you can't cherry pick statistics or a poll to say that everyone feels safe until everyone that you talk to says that they feel safe walking their dog in any neighborhood, not just specific neighborhoods during the middle of the day, or sending their kids off to college and not worry about what's going to happen to them, until all of us can go back to feeling like this city is safe because it actually is. We haven't done our job. And so I'm not going to cherry pick statistics to tell you that you should feel safer. When I'm sitting in a cafe in Woodlawn, randomly meeting 3 black women, 2 of whom lost their sons to gun violence, to murder. So I had 2 of them at my announcement today because you know what their number one issue is, Tahman? Public safety.
I got you.
And so it's all relative, right? Until those mothers feel that they have a mayor who's fighting for them and who puts the tragedy of what happened to them front and center in trying to avoid other mothers from joining a club that they never wanted to join, the mayor is not listening and not doing his job. I will.
Let me ask you, because I have less than a minute left. Alexi Julius has a ton of money in the bank. He's still thinking about running, apparently. What would your advice be to him? Should he get in now? And how much money do you need to compete? He's got about $18 million just sitting, waiting.
Look, I'm
to
not
be used.
thinking about Alexi Giannoulias or any other candidate. I'm thinking about the people of Chicago and the future of this city. I believe that Chicagoans need and want a mayor who's all in. And certainly money is not going to win this election. We've seen candidates come with a boatload of money and still lose big. And so I'm going to win this election. Why? Because I actually have a pulse on what's happening in this city, not just in certain parts of the city, but in every one of the 77, soon to be 78 neighborhoods of this city. I'm a neighborhoods girl. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. It was a plastic spork if I had to choose something. Versatile, efficient. That's who I am. And I'll say this too, like, it's important to be in these neighborhoods, in the tough neighborhoods where people feel abandoned and neglected. I know what it's like to walk to school holding my brother's hand, having him tell me, don't make eye contact, let's just get to school without getting shot. And there's a big difference between that and holding the hand of the doorman as he hits my elevator to my high rise.
Susana Mendoza, the Illinois Comptroller running for mayor. You sound ready to get this campaign
Let's go.
going.
We got to get our city back, and I hope I can count on the voters' support.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having
it.
me.
All right, we're back in 60 seconds. And finally, a tip of the hat to Mayor Johnson, who has not said whether or not he'll run for re-election, but he did shed light on what he would like to do, and that is to be a camp counselor. He said this this morning at an event announcing free YMCA memberships for Chicago teens this summer.
I still have my YMCA t-shirts, by the way. My wife is like, you're not going to get rid of those? No, they're still in my drawer. So if you need me, Adam. In fact, I'm going to make a commitment that one of these activities, Mayor Johnson will lead a group of young people at an activity.
Now, we could have made the tip, the mayor telling Sports Radio he left the Bears-Packers playoff game early because it's really brave to leave on Caleb Williams, a new Madden video game cover athlete. And that is the point. I'm Tahman Bradley. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.